If you're looking for a simple and fast crochet bow pattern, this tutorial is for you. Hi, it's Krista at The Secret Yarnery. Today we are making these adorable, easy, and fast crochet bows, perfect for making in bulk. They work up really quickly. And we are using half double crochets, so it's a lot faster than single crochet patterns. And you don't really have very many ends to sew in. They also have a little string at the back. This super easy crochet bow is perfect for attaching to headbands, bags, purses, hair clips, anywhere where you want a little bit of fantastic crochet charm. It is a perfect pattern to make in bulk, and you can, of course, do any color. I used a size 4 worsted weight acrylic for mine and a 5mm crochet hook, but you could also use a bulky yarn and a larger hook, and you will just end up with a bigger bow. So exact same pattern. You could also do it with a DK weight yarn, and you'll end up with a smaller bow. You'll also need a needle for sewing in the tails on your tails, the tails of your tails, and a pair of scissors. Here are the timestamps. You can jump back into where you left off, and let's make these bows. I'm going to start by leaving about an 8-inch tail. So make a slip knot any which way you normally do. Shrink that down, pop it onto your hook, and we're going to chain 22. 1, 2, 3. If you'd like to follow along with the written pattern, all of my patterns are available on my website, secretyarnery.com, and all of my patterns are written in plain English, just like I was sitting there right beside you. 21 and 22. Now we have our pretty side, our little V's, and we're going to be working into our back loops. So you want to roll the V's onto our side. And you'll see your back loops. The first one is right underneath the working yarn. So there's number 1, number 2. Just wrap your yarn, and we're going to go in to the second back loop. Just sliding that onto your hook. And we're going to be making a half double crochet. And we're going to be making a half double crochet into each of these back loops all the way along, just sliding that back loop onto your hook. Just like that. And you can pause the video, keep working along. 1 half double crochet into each back loop, and I'll meet you when you get to the end of your chain right over here. At the end of your chain, just make sure you go into that very last chain. It looks like it could be part of that knot, but your last back loop is right there. So make sure you get in to that last back loop with your last half double crochet. So there is our work so far. There's our tail. What we want to do is we're going to make a half double crochet to join. So just make sure there's no twists in your ring, like that, and just kind of hold it where you need it to be. We're going to be working in to that very first stitch right there. And we're going to be making a half double crochet. So get some tension on your hook. And we're just going to slide right into that stitch, 2 strands on the top of your hook, 2 strands of that V, and we're going to make a half double crochet. Like that. Now we're going to do a half double crochet into each stitch all the way around. So we've gone into this stitch. The next one is right here. So 1 half double crochet into each stitch. And we want to do this for 3 rounds, and we have joined with a half double. So I will just work around and show you what it looks like when we get back to that join. When we get back to our join, we can inside out our work so our pretty stitches are facing out. And then that's a little easier to see what's going on. You can see your stitches. So it's not attached at the bottom. Don't worry about that. Just kind of pinch it with your finger and thumb and keep working into those stitches, just like we have been, just like normal. 1 half double crochet into each all the way across that join we made. Let me just do a couple stitches. I'll show you what it looks like. There we go. So that is where our join is. We're going to keep working around. We want to have 3 rows. You can see there's 1, 2, 3. We want 3 rows all the way around, including over here. So keep working around. I'll meet you when you get back here. When we get back to our join, just keep working along. You want to have 3 rows of stitches into each stitch. And we're going to put 1 more into this stitch right here. So right on top of that join is going to be our last half double crochet. Just like that. And now we're going to slip stitch into that next stitch right here. That's where we're going to finish up. And don't worry if yours looks a little bit different. No one is going to see this side. This is the back side. So there's our slip stitch, chain 1 to secure your yarn, and cut your yarn, leaving another about 8-inch tail. Pull your hook up and your yarn through, snug that down, and now turn your work so that first tail is facing up. And now you want to insert your hook into that chain, and you want 2 strands on the top of your hook, and bring that tail through, our starting tail, just like that. So we don't have to sew it or anything, we just need it connected, just like that. And now you can tie these 2, just one little simple tie, just to shrink it together, like that. Turn it over, and we want to line up our bow in the center. So our tails are in the middle of our bow. We can still adjust this later, so don't worry about it too much right now. So 1 tail up, 1 tail down. And now we're going to tie these tails. We're going to pull this nice and tight, but first we're going to check to make sure it's centered. That's pretty good. It's not bad. Now you can pull it. If you're using acrylic yarn, you can pull nice and snug. If you're using a natural fiber, be careful, or do this step, tie it with an acrylic yarn so you can snug down really nice and secure, and then knot it on the back side, like that. So there is our first bow. Leave your tails attached. This is part 1. Now we are ready to make the tail part. So this is the bow, and now we're going to do the tails. To make your tail, we don't need to leave a tail. To make the tail, you don't need to leave a tail. Just a normal amount. We're going to have to sew this in with a needle later, so maybe 4 or 5 inches. So slip knot onto your hook, and we're going to chain 12. 1, 2, 3, 11, and 12. And now we're going to do pretty much the same thing, rolling those pretty little V's to the side and wrapping our yarn and just going into that second back loop or the second chain with 1 half double crochet. And we're going to make 1 half double crochet into each back loop all the way along our chain. You can pause the video, and I will meet you when you get to the end of your chain right over here. At the end of your chain, don't forget to go into that last back loop with your last half double crochet. So there is our first row. Chain 2, 1 and 2, and turn your work. Into this very first stitch right here, we're going to do 3 half double crochets. 1, 2, and 3, and 1 half double crochet into each stitch all the way along the row. So you can pause the video. I'll meet you when you get to the end right over here. Into this last stitch right here at the end, we're going to go in. Make sure you have 2 strands of that V on the top of your hook. And we're going to do 3 half double crochets into that last stitch. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1 to secure your yarn. Cut your yarn, just leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle. Pull your hook up and your yarn through and snug that down to secure. And now we have to sew in our tails. I like a sharp tip needle for this, and just work that tail in underneath some fat stitches. So there is our tail. Now with a scrap of yarn, we are going to knot this in half as well. Just something like that, and make sure it's in the middle as close as you can, and give it a tie. Pull it nice and snug and knot it again. And cut off those tails right snug up at that knot. We don't need them anymore. So there is our little tails, or a little mustache. Grab your bow, and you can decide which side of your tails you like the look of best. It doesn't matter. They look cute both ways. And then take one tail from your bow, your long tails, and bring it over. Gonna look like that. Flip it over so we can make our knot at the back of our bow. And now we're just gonna tie it and pull it nice and snug, making sure that that knot stays at the back, and shrink it up nice and snug. Have a look at the front. Make sure those tails are in a spot where you like them. And then pull nice and snug and knot your yarn. Now you can leave these tails attached if you wanted to attach this to a headband or a hair clip or a bag. If you wanted to sew it anywhere, you can use these tails to sew it. If you are using it as decoration around your house, you can just go ahead and snip off these tails. And there is your super cute crochet bow. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I did. I'm waiting for you in that video up there, and stay hooked.